Everything you said was absolutely 100% correct.
Man, is this the great Alan Cutler? Is this the infamous Alan Cutler?
Of all the broadcast television people that I've encountered, you are among the absolute elite.
Cut to the Chase has a 5-length lead past the 16th pole. Cut to the Chase. Victor Espinoza to win it.
Continue doing what you're doing. You're really good at it.
I talk on many radio shows, and you are the best.
Be nice, America. Let's have a great day.
I love the game, and I love winning.
Hello, Mark. Mr. Pope, 1996.
Oh, my gosh. What? Hey, let's give it up right here. This is my guy. Yes. I'm so happy to see you.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
If you ever want to question my recruiting abilities, just take a look at my wife, Jordan.
Good afternoon, Alan Cutler. I love that line. That is Brian Hodgson, the new basketball coach at Providence. And the first time I used that line, and Sean, somebody said I was sexist. The first time I saw a picture, I don't remember what year it was, I mean, forever ago, of Lane Kiffin and his wife. And I said, hey, don't worry about him being able to recruit in college. Look at his wife. So I used that line. And it's a funny line. And there's something to it. I believe, by the way, Hudson is a heck of a recruiter. So is Kiffin. Coincidence? Probably not. It's all good. Honored and pleased to be with you. Thank you so much for joining me. In the 4+ years, or in the 4th year I've been doing this, I don't remember ever having so many notes for a show. And I often don't get to a third of it anyway. It's crazy how much stuff is going on. So we're just going to shotgun some things. Initially yesterday, after talking privately with my buddy Dick Hoops Weiss, who's a great sounding board, and it's amazing in talking to him that it makes me think of other things talking about Kentucky. And he was dear friends with Larry Donald. I don't know if you know the name, but he's passed a long time ago. He had a publication called Basketball Times, which was the best when it came to basketball. All these great writers could on the side write for him. It was the Bible of college basketball. And they were dear, dear friends. And he told me a long time ago in their conversations, they would help each other think about things to help them both write their articles. So in talking to Hoops yesterday, it kind of hit me about Mark Pope. And I was tough on Pope yesterday, and I meant every single word of it. And then I started feeling bad for Mark Pope. So if you missed the show yesterday, I'll do this quickly. I still cannot believe that Mark Pope threw John Calipari under the bus. You do not use another coach to make yourself look better. You just don't. Then on top of it, you have Cal's old job that he left for, and he's been nothing but tremendously supportive. And Pope has said that he's been supportive behind the scenes as well. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Comparing his 2 years versus Cal's last 4 years. And then on top of it, Cal's last 4 years sucked. Everybody knows that. And so that's not the standard. I thought it was awful. And then it hit me when I was talking to Hoops. And I mean this seriously and as sincere as anything I've said in quite a long time. And by the way, everything I say, whether you agree or not, it's real. I'm not bought and sold by anyone. The beauty of doing this show. I feel bad for Mark Pope. I really do. This is so out of character for him to take on statistics that he became prepared for, going to his coach's show to show the world how, okay, we're not where we want to be. He's the first to say that, but we're better than the last 4 years. I'm hurting for Mark Pope. I really am. And I'm also rooting for him. And I stand by what I said yesterday. So many of you are saying, get rid of him. You know, he can't recruit the high school. I don't need to go into it. And my thing is a little different. My thing is people grow and change. And maybe he'll nail it this time. And I'll use Hopkins again, and there's so many players, just him as the example. When he was here, he sucked. When he was here, he was nervous. When he was here, he barely got on the court. I think he had 6 threes the other day for St. John's. And he's a rebounder, and he plays defense hard, and he's going to make money playing pro ball forever. And I guarantee you, 90% of the great Kentucky fans saw him when they left and didn't see this happening to him. I'm not being negative, but that's how I feel. So as you look at this, people grow and change. They do. They improve. And there's a number of former Onyenso. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, he blocked 9 shots, not even starting for Virginia. Could he have done that here? Yes, it would have taken a while. To those who say, I'm tired of Brandon Garrison, I'm going, I hope Pope can keep him. Because guess what? He got much better at the end. And why can't he continue to get much better, even though at times he does some knucklehead things? His potential is ridiculous. His defense, I think, is better, and Pope points it out, than a lot of people think. So if he wants to come back and Pope wants him and they can do it financially, I think it's a great idea. I expect him to be much better next year. Could I be wrong? Sure. It's another year. And he's closer to the point. It's put up a shut-up time because he talks about providing for his son. Young man's a great athlete. You know that. And I think he can get better. I really do. I would welcome him back tremendously. To Jasper Johnson. By the way, happy birthday, Jasper. By the way, I have no idea how it got in my calendar. His phone number and his birthday is in my calendar for today. That's really weird. As a matter of fact, when I saw it today, I'm going, I didn't even know I had his number. And no, I haven't called it. But happy birthday. And I was going to do Jasper now, but let me just let it rip. I need to set this up. Linda Blackford, a wonderful, wonderful reporter for the Herald Leader, will join us at 12:30. Chip Rupp at 12:45. David Sisk, and this was set up before Hubert Davis was fired from North Carolina. He's done the show many times. He's got some great basketball insights. And Van Hiles at 1:30. And we'll also get into, obviously, the article that's in the New York Times from the Athletics. We'll do that at length today as well. But to Jasper Johnson, Derek, his uncle, he's a personal friend. I've been friends with the family forever. I respect the family. I've said this many times, tremendously. Their dad, Albus, who we lost, can't remember, it's a couple years ago. I loved Albus. Who didn't love Albus? Strong, tough, whatever. And he's been frustrated. And we've had private text messages, and I asked him to come on. He's not sure he should, based upon he doesn't want to do anything to hurt Jasper. But I believe if he talks to anybody, he'll talk to me. We'll see. He did the show one time, and shame on me for not having him back more. And we ended up going an hour longer because he was spectacular. And I've told him he could do sports talk radio, but he makes a lot more money doing what he's doing, and that's all good. And so he's been hurting all year about the lack of playing time that Jasper has gotten, that you can't use 30 seconds and all of a sudden you can become a player, that you need more time. And I believe that, by the way. But that's Pope's decision. And there's no question that Jasper needs to get much better defensively. He just does. But here's the point about Jasper that I think a lot of you miss, and I mean this nicely from the bottom of my heart. I don't think any less of his potential and his future today than I did before the season started. And I'm going to repeat. I don't think any less of his potential today than I did before the season started, and I can see him in the NBA. And you might think I'm nuts. That's okay. Where's he going to be next year, the year after, the year after? He's going to get stronger. I bet he gets better laterally. He's not comfortable on the court yet. And one of the things that John Calipari used to say that I thought sucked, that I said it many times. A lot of things Cal did that was good. Well, you know, if I give you 1 minute, show me in that 1 minute or 2 minutes that you deserve to play more. Who the hell is comfortable in 1 minute or 2 minutes? Not very many people, not many athletes. And that's a difficult thing to do. It's more difficult doing that than if you know you're one of the players that can play through mistakes. As a matter of fact, there was a soundbite and we played it, and I really was strong pointing it out. It was after a game, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the game. It was before postseason play, where Jasper said, one of the things that's helped me, I'm starting to be allowed to play through mistakes. I thought it was one of the most powerful comments of the year. You got to put yourself in Jasper's shoes. But I believe many of you don't believe in his potential the way you did before. Nothing has changed. Look at all the players that grow and develop. Look at all the players that grow and develop. I've done this, but I'm not going down through now all the Kentucky players who left, weren't doing well here, needed to grow and change, get older and stronger and get on the court, and they're much better. The problem is, and I'm not ripping Kentucky for this, there's just less patience here. There just is. It's not the only place that there's very little patience, but there's less patience here. I was going to read the whole thing from Derek Johnson. It's really, really strong. Really strong. And he's taken on part of the fan base for some of the mean things that they have said towards Jasper. I was standing in the corner of the Florida game, and Jasper came in and made a mistake. And I was surprised there were a couple of fans to the left of me in the lower section just screamed about how he's no good, need to get him out of there. And I was surprised. At the end, he said, I've never witnessed people be so nasty, whether it's on quote-unquote real sites or not. Those are real people behind those comments. Playing in 30-second intervals, never really given a chance. Not my decision, but hopefully you'll get your wish. He's saying hopefully you'll get the wish that he'll be transferring. I've been saying for quite some time, and I don't have this information from Derek Johnson, and I don't have it from Dennis Johnson. I will be surprised if he's back next year. And I can see Pope saying, and Pope has said this, look, we had to put you in a role that you weren't ready for, which at times playing the point. Now, first of all, Mark Pope needs to do what Mark Pope needs to do. And I respect that. It's his decision, whether he wants the kid back or not. By the same token, Jasper needs to do what Jasper needs to do. My sense is, and I do not have inside information, that they will end up going to a place, whether it's here or any place else, where they know they're going to play. He needs to play. He needs to play. I'm going to throw a little tidbit at you, and this might be the most powerful thing I say all day. It's 12:13. Sean, mark this down. Part of this I absolutely know, and I've known for quite some time. And then the other part of this, I have no idea how it's going to shake out. Weeks and weeks and weeks ago, I said that Marino would be one of the highest paid players in college basketball next year. And to those who think he's not that good, okay, I don't agree. I believe Marino, with a great work ethic, his hands will get so much stronger, will be so much better next year. I can see schools from all over offering him millions to play at their school next year. I wonder, and I really wonder, if there will be some players, not only on this team, but other teams who actually want to stay at the particular school where they're at, who will leave because of money. Do I think everyone's going to leave for money? I do not. I do not. But if somebody's offering you $4 or $5 million and Kentucky's offering you $2.5 million, maybe the offer comes up. I think this could be a problem for Kentucky. I also think Kentucky is not going to be the only school with this issue. And I also believe there'll be a lot of athletes who will take less money to stay at their particular school. Smith, the great point guard for Purdue, took less money to stay there. Ty Bryant, I've talked about this, has taken less money a couple years in a row to stay at Kentucky. It's not all about money, but it's a ton about money. It just is. Keep that in mind, because as you're deciding who you want to stay and not stay, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. But also put yourself in the shoes of the player and what's best for them. That's all. What's best for them? Yeah, I'm not going to read the whole Derek Johnson thing. It's too long. It's all over on social media. It'll be easy for you to find. It's all good. I don't remember if I retweeted it or not. I don't remember. You can find it. A couple of things. Jason Hart is gone. I don't know what happened, but there was a tweet from a basketball guy who's usually really good at this stuff. And I'm sorry, I don't remember who this said he was going to be the head coach at Pepperdine, which I could see him doing that. I said this a long time ago. I never thought that he came here to stay. I really thought that he was going to be a head coach since he wasn't. That's the main reason why he came. I think he was using Kentucky to become a head coach. That's not negative. That's not unusual. He's going to SMU, as most of you know, and Andy, the head coach, he worked for him for a long time at USC. The one time we had him on the air, he talked about keeping his home on the West Coast. He's a West Coast guy. That's why initially I was surprised that he came here. He's closer to the West Coast. He has been the lead recruiter for people like Dink and Stokes and stuff like that. And here's what I have no freaking idea at all. When he decided to come here, one of the things I said was, besides his knowledge of basketball, this was a stud high school player who had a wonderful career at Syracuse and bounced around the NBA forever. And you do not get on that many NBA teams if you're a bad guy. You just don't. If you look at his bio and all the teams he's been and some of the short instances and stuff like that, the guy at the end of the bench ain't someone who's a bad dude. Just doesn't happen. I think he's a really good man. And I was excited for Pope for two reasons. One, as a guy who could help point guards out. Remember, he went to Syracuse when everybody in the world wanted him. And if I remember right, he started as a freshman. He had a hell of a college career. And two, he's got, the AAU connections and all those kinds of things. He's a really good recruiter. So I don't know what the hell happened here. I don't know if all of a sudden he became a bad recruiter. Doesn't that sound stupid to say when you're at Kentucky? Sounds absurd to say. Or what guys like Hart do, they set you up, they develop the relationship, and the head coach closes the deal. I don't know if Pope couldn't close the deal. I don't know if he couldn't get to the point closing the deal. The truth is, I don't know. I'm not pointing fingers. What I do know is what was anticipated about what he'd be able to do never happened here. And again, let me repeat, I'm not criticizing either Pope or Hart. I don't think he was super happy here. I don't think you'll ever find that out. And going to SMU, as you know, from Dallas, it's a short ride to Los Angeles, plane ride versus in Lexington. You get direct flights all the time. And as I recall, one of the things he said was he talks to his son every single day. And I was teasing him about the jerseys because he has so many teams he played for. And I said, by the way, did you save it? He saved every one of his jerseys in the NBA. He says he's got them all on a wall. I bet it's a really cool wall. And in my interaction with him, which was not much, I really like him. I think he's a good dude. I thought it was a really good hire. Really, really good hire. And it's probably best for him and best for Pope. He moves on. Now, there are rumblings, and I do not know that there could be more changes in the staff, whether it's somebody leaving on their own or whatever. I can't substantiate any of that. I'm not starting rumors, but there are certain things doing sports talk radio that I can say on radio that, to be quite honest, if I was anchoring on LAX 18, would I said that part? Would not. Let's add a lot more information. There's a difference between doing sports talk radio and being on TV. And I'm old school when it comes to those things. I really am. I really am. Okay. To the article in The Athletic. Actually, you know what? I'm going to push that off because Linda Blackford at 12:30, who's a wonderful reporter and columnist for the Lexington Herald-Leader, she told me she had some strong thoughts, so we'll do it there. Give a hat tip to Jack Pilgrim. He broke the story on KSR that Keegan Brown, who was with the Wisconsin Hurt as a video guy, is going to be, I guess they're not calling him a GM, but the kind of guy that is going to look at all these different players and agents and salary cap and finding players on all levels that he's coming here. It's been rumored for quite a while. This title is superfluous to me. The Associate Director of Development, so says Jack Pilgrim of KSR. Now, I don't know if Pope is going to hire a general manager. He had hinted that there were a couple of people that might be hired. I do know this. If his title, let's say, was general manager, you have to pay him more. These titles are kind of like superfluous based upon what your salary is. Okay, and if you say, oh my gosh, he's only the head video coordinator of the Herd, a G League affiliate, well, go look at all the coaches that are head coaches in the NBA who started as video coordinators. There's a guy in Miami who's going to the Hall of Fame. That's where he started. There was a guy who came to Kentucky as a manager for Pitino. Pitino leaves. And then he stayed as a manager for Tubby. And he's been the head coach of many teams, starting as a video guy. It's pretty interesting. So I look at that, and that job is a lot more respected than I think the public realizes. With your knowledge, and you're in on the meetings, and you pick up things from other people, and trends, and how to look for certain things. So I'm good with it. How good he's going to be, have no clue. Have no clue. Wish him the best of luck. I want to give a hat tip to Jacob Polachek, also of KSR. And I got to tell you, and I said this when his dad was here from Jackson State, Mo Williams, all-star, silky smooth. So when Kentucky played Jackson State, I did a long thing talking about how good of a player he was and how smooth he is. Really, really special player. He's an all-star. It's not easy making the all-star team. Well, his son is a 4-star. And according to Jacob, that he's here today for a visit. I think that's not good. I think that's spectacular. I have not looked at footage of him. But I got to tell you, he's the son of an all-star, and he's probably been, come on, you know the story, without me looking it up. He's probably been bouncing a basketball since he's 3 years old. You know, it's just like Rondo, the 8th grader. He's going to be unbelievable. Already shoots better than his dad, and is always a lot more loquacious than his dad. And you know how it is. The son of a great basketball player, if there's a tight relationship between the two, it is amazing how good the sons are because they get the knowledge and the experience early on, and they get to hang out with their father. And there are sons who will end up being better than their father. And it's going to be fat. And by the way, I love Rondo as a player. The only thing he couldn't do is shoot, and I will always say with Rondo, and I've said this many times, you know, he was on that Celtic teams who won the NBA championship. He was the glue guy. He was the glue guy. He does so many little things, and people listen to him. He used to drive Tubby nuts because he was really, really smart and really, really stubborn. And there's no question, as a backup with the Lakers, LeBron listened to him. I thought he was the quiet key for them winning. Didn't say the MVP in Boston or the Lakers, but he's a glue guy that people listen to. And his passing was unbelievable. If he could only shoot. If he could only shoot. I can't wait to see Rondo 4 or 5 years from now. I can't. Excited like crazy. We'll get more into North Carolina and their search. But here are some numbers I found on Twitter, and I don't remember where I saw it. Thanks for that. Depends upon who goes to North Carolina. And some of these numbers surprise me. There's one that's low that shocks me. For example, if Todd Golden goes to North Carolina, I'm not predicting any of this. Golden's buyout is $16 million. If Tommy Lloyd goes to from Arizona to North Carolina, his buyout is $11 million. Nate Oates, on April 1st, it hits $10 million. Dusty May, you know, he's got such a baby face. I forgot that he's 49 years old, Sean. I was surprised. I don't know why, but I really thought he was in his late 30s. You know, I'm usually pretty close on ages. You know, I followed his career forever, and I'm going, 49? Really? Sean, you should have looked that good when you were 20. I mean, he's got a baby face. Me too. Who the heck are we kidding? You're smirking at me. I know I could feel a sarcasm emanating from your cranium. I cut you off on purpose. That was done on purpose, pal. Anyway, Michigan's Dusty May, 7.5. TJ Otzberger was only $4 million. Only $4 million. And he was one of the guys on my short list, as I've said the other day, and I said at the time, that I would have called when Cal left. I can't believe his buyout is only $4 million. I mean, this sounds stupid. That's nothing. Who thought anybody would ever say that that's nothing? But it is. And I think North Carolina's going to have a problem. I said this yesterday. I said it today. I'm going to say it to David Sisk at 1 o'clock. You know, think for a second. Had Pope said no, where was Mitch going? Think about it. Think about it. Eddie Sutton was a compromise choice. There's this fascination with people who say, it's Kentucky. They can hire anybody. BS. And by the way, that's not a shot against Kentucky. Jay Wright said no twice. Izzo was interested. They handled it the wrong way. But I could see somebody like in Arizona's Tommy Lloyd. I said this yesterday. I'm standing by this. I'm going to throw it to David Sisk. He's in Arizona. It's not like there's no pressure at Arizona, because look what Lute Olson did in starting the tradition there. Okay, and look what Sean Miller did, but he didn't win in the NCAA tournament. So they've been winning there forever. Would you rather live in Arizona than the fishbowl of North Carolina? And I really believe there's a bunch of coaches who are good enough to continue the tradition in North Carolina who won't want the job. They don't need the job. They're happy where they are. And the other thing is, North Carolina's been cheap. Hey, it's North Carolina. It's in the family. This is what you're going to pay. So they're going to have to open up their pocketbooks and obviously have to buy some people out. Linda is in. Great. So we're going to take a break. And let me tell you, I have a tremendous amount of respect. Tremendous. And I think she's going to come on with some brimstone and fire with some strong opinions. And she's a wonderful writer. I tell you what's a wonderful place. If you need a car, looking for a car, think of Quantrell first. Quantrell first, whether it's Volvos, Subarus, Cadillacs. I say it every day. We've been dealing with Quantrell very happily for well over a decade, way before doing a commercial and being a spokesman. I'm happy to. I've said this. I won't be a spokesman for somebody if I don't like the product. Not going to take the money. My credibility is more important. Seriously, it's a pretty simple deal. I'm a pretty simple guy, even with a big mouth. But with them, 3 vehicles over a long time period. And as they say, driving should feel personal, protected, centered, completely at ease the moment you pull onto the road. That's the Volvo difference. Thoughtful design, quiet confidence, and safety always working in the background so you can simply breathe and drive. Plus, the luxury of Volvo, and by the way, this happened to us too. It was more within reach than we expected. It was. That's why Volvo deserves your first look. At Quantrell Volvo, they're friends of mine. Brentley and Mark, they have built a dealership that's calm, respectful, and genuinely helpful. Right now, get 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. See dealer for details. Visit QuantrellVolvo.com today. Linda Blackford, I'm looking forward to that. Then Chip Rupp, I'm looking forward to. Then David Sisk with Carolina, everything else, looking forward to. Then Van Hiles, who knows how that's going to go, looking forward to it. Lucky and blessed with so many great guests on a consistent basis. I'm really, really, really lucky. Thank you for tuning in. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
The Alan Cutler Show on ESPN 92.5 and 1300 AM and on the ESPN Lexington app. Presented by Republic Bank.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Driving should feel personal, protected, centered, completely at ease the moment you pull onto the road. That's the Volvo difference. Thoughtful design, quiet confidence, and safety always working in the background so you can simply breathe and drive. We love our VC60. Plus, the luxury of Volvo is often more within reach than expected. That's why Volvo deserves your first look. At Quantrell Volvo, Brentley and Mark, friends of mine, they have built a dealership that's calm, respectful, and genuinely helpful. Right now, get 0.99%. That's 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. See dealer for details. Visit QuantrellVolvo.com today.
Hey, I'm Dale Wise. I've just recently retired.
I know that the electronics, if you don't keep up with it, it can get away from you and get real confusing. Republic Bank's app, I use their app, and it is so easy to use. I log in with my fingerprint, so it's super easy. I don't have to remember 50 million different passwords and all that stuff. And it lays it out just real nice.
That's Dale's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC. Data rates may apply.
It's March, and that means it's a perfect time to start betting with Circa Sports Kentucky. As you're looking to bet through the mayhem, Circa Sports is sports betting the way it should be. High betting limits, player-friendly pricing, plus a new enhanced in-game system so you can place the bets you want from tip to buzzer. Don't forget you can visit Kentucky's largest sports book, Circa Sports, at the Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs. Download the Circa Sports app or visit circasports.com today.
ESPN Sports Radio 1300 and 92.5. Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. Honored and pleased that Linda Blackford has been kind enough to join us again. She's a wonderful journalist. And I'm using the word journalist because I hope you like this, Linda. In today's society, the word is bastardized, but with respect, I can use that with you. So it's 100% compliment, and I hope you take it that way.
Absolutely. I do appreciate it.
From the Lexington Herald Leader, her stuff is spectacular. And I asked you to come up for one reason, but things have changed like overnight. So I want to go first to what you did. Congratulations of getting Setzer's letter first. Somebody sent it to me, but you had it first, so it is what it is. You know, I don't lie about getting stuff, not getting stuff. The truth is, my nose can't grow anymore. So that's why I stopped lying. Fourth grade, my nose was too big. But when you got that letter from Setzer, who loves Kentucky, has donated millions to Kentucky, particularly in football and other sports and and he is so fed up with some of the things going on. Why don't you say what he's fed up with, please, and your take from your conversation with him. And then the last thing, I'm throwing too many things at once. Will this letter that was well written, I can't write like that, and I can't write like you, you think it'll have any effect? Go for it, Linda. And thank you again for joining me.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. So the letter was basically about Mr. Setzer's unhappiness with the golden parachute, as we now call it, for Mitch Barnhart, in which he is being paid $950,000 a year to be part of an initiative that, as of last week, or as of Monday, still did not have any presence on the UK's website. So we still don't really know what it is. That really upset him. I mean, he's someone who's a football booster. I believe he was close to Mark Stoops. He has thoughts. So he's very upset about this. And then he's very upset about the lack of transparency, the lack of communication that he has gotten. I asked him yesterday if UK had gotten back to him. He said no. And since that time, I have heard from lots of other people. There was a huge reaction to the story, obviously. And I've heard from some other boosters, maybe not in the same echelon as Mr. Setzer, but people who've been with the program a long time, and they are very upset about it too.
Plus, in a time where UK's president, Dr. Capilouto, is saying we have to cut expenses. And
yeah, I mean, it was a weird, it happened, that was on Saturday, right? That video came out.
I watched the video and I don't mean to be crude, but I went,
yeah, it was confusing for one thing, but yeah, to say we're going to do all these things and yet we have to cut expenses was strange and confusing. And what Brett Setzer said is, who are these people? He said he's talked to 30 people on this listening tour for the new AD. Who are they? You know, what are they? What is he saying to them? What are they? You know, what is really going on? So I think there's just a high level of frustration over what's happening right now.
Not fair to say, but in a crystal ball, do you think, because Brett is a powerful guy, plus you wrote a powerful article, But that doesn't mean anything is going to happen. Do you have a crystal ball and think anything will happen with transparency?
You know you know a lot more about this than I do. I mean, I can't imagine one thing UK does not generally do is, admit mistakes. And another thing is that they have a contract with him. I don't know how you would get out of it at this point. I mean, I guess I wonder how much do donors matter? I don't know. I mean, and we'll get to the next thing. Like,
okay.
in this day and age, how much do donors matter? I don't know.
I don't know either. I think it depends upon the particular school. I think there are some schools, and I'm not either chomping on Kentucky or not Kentucky, but I know there are some schools where boosters have a lot of say-so, and at times more say-so than an athletics director. There's no hidden message here with Kentucky. I'm just saying this I know. What percent, Linda? I have no clue. Okay, so I'm really interested in your take. Here's the headline written by Justin Williams. It's really The Athletic, but it's in the New York Times, as I think most people know. Kentucky's bold strategy to generate revenue could be blueprint for other big spenders. That's the headline. I read this really slowly, unusually slow, to make sure I could digest it and I didn't want to miss anything. What is your take? Is this a pro-Kentucky piece? Is this questioning piece? Is this saying the world is changing and the world is not flat, but this is a new way to do athletics? I mean, I really don't know, honestly, how this is going to work out, but there are some things I wish they explained better. What's your take?
I just couldn't believe the New York Times, which is the greatest newspaper in the world, would publish something like this, which is something the UK could have paid millions in free PR for and not gotten anything this positive. I think it's good to know that the UK is the very first athletics department going to an LLC, but how it's going to work remains a real question mark. And the idea that you just take UK's word for it that it's going to work, and all these anonymous people and Eric Monday, I think is a bizarre way to do an article.
Eric Monday said what you'd expect Eric Monday to say.
Right. I mean, is Eric Monday in charge of athletics? He's not the one hiring the athletic director, but he seems to be very much in charge of all these new business models. And incidentally, I mean, so once again, my perspective is from the academic side. So they're also trying to turn healthcare into an LLC. They have an RFP out to privatize all their custodial and janitorial staff. They are centralizing a bunch of other things on campus. So this is obviously bigger than athletics. And I think people still have a lot of questions about it.
I know nothing, Linda. This is just a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
In the long run, I could end up being wrong. But it seems to me this would be an easier way for them to do things financially without the public really knowing.
For sure.
A way where I don't mean to be mean and say hide, but that my reaction was when I heard this thing, it's an LLC. They can do whatever the hell they want. And if I'm wrong, somebody from UK, tell me I'm wrong and tell me why. And I'll apologize on the air.
Well, they have said that they are going to continue to be subject to the open records and open meetings laws. And that's a very big relief to hear, but we'll see how long it lasts. Because one of the things an LLC does not have to do is be subject to open records. So that's just like goodwill on their part. And I hope they will stick with it. I mean, the other thing about the article is it kept going on about how much money UK has. They actually use the word Scrooge McDuck kind of money in the article. And meanwhile, we've got the president of the university saying they've got to cut expenses, and a major donor who's very, very unhappy with how this program is working right now, and a lot of other people who are very unhappy with it. All you have to do is look at Twitter. And so we're getting a lot of mixed messages here.
How about this from the article? This is word for word. I'm certainly not going to pontificate on this. All the money is in one pot, so to speak, said another industry source familiar with the program but unauthorized to speak publicly. quote again, it sounds like money laundering, but I swear it's not.
I know, that was my favorite. After Scrooge McDuck, that was my favorite line.
Okay.
It's so great. Saying the quiet part out loud, right?
When I read this, I'm starting laughing. I'm going, I got to do a show. Am I going to laugh at this? I was just and sometimes this could be the greatest thing in the history of athletics. This could be a major change. It could be wonderful. And there's a fear of the unknown, which is fair. It is fair. But because they've been so secretive about so many things, it makes it, I don't want to use this word. And I'm not saying it is this word. It almost feels like a little disingenuous, especially when the athletics director talks down to people. You can't do this. You got to stop this. You can't, so it just feels disingenuous. And if I'm wrong, I'm happy to say it, but that's how I feel.
It is really something. And I think we're moving ever closer to, why is it still attached to a university? This is a professional sports franchise we've got going on here. And I get it. It's been heading that way a long time. And so are all the other schools that do it. But it seems to me it's heading into more direct conflict with the role of a flagship public university.
Linda, I don't know you that well, so I'll just come clean now. I started introducing you as the knucklehead who first published the Golden Parachute because Mitch had said, I think most people know it, but not everybody does. Mitch has said, these knuckleheads need to stop it. I probably should have, but I don't know you. I should have. Okay. Well,
I'm a proud member of Knucklehead Nation. I'll tell you.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for joining me on a dime. I have a sneaky feeling that you're going to write something in the next couple of weeks that if you can grace me with your time, that would be great. Tell everybody how to read you everywhere in the world, social media, Herald Leader, do the whole thing.
Okay. Well, Herald Leader opinions. I send out a Bluegrass Voices newsletter where all this will be on. You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook, all the places.
You get anything out of Blue Sky?
It's more actually it is not as great as it started out to be, I would have to say.
Okay. I've resisted joining another social media group.
I know.
It's just too much for me. Anyway, Linda, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, folks. This lady is great at what can I say, lady? Did I just say something wrong? Is lady okay?
It's fine. Oh, I should say go to Kentucky.com. That's really where to find us.
Well, there you go. So I'm glad my screw up. You got to say that. Linda, thank you so much. Linda Blackford.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Take care.
Bye. Sean, she's really, really, really good. I mean, bullseye. Absolute bullseye in what she writes and that kind of stuff. And I don't remember if I told her this on or off the air. I can't remember. But if this was a news station, news talk, I would have her be a co-host because her opinions are really good. Really, really good. Can we do this, Sean? Can we not take a break and go directly to Chip? Is that possible?
Yeah, you're fine. You can do that. I want to read. We got a couple of texts in from the same person. I'm sorry they didn't put their name in, but something stinks at UK. They are stealing from the people of Kentucky, plain and simple. UK athletics they're speaking of. So,
okay,
there we go.
I'm not going to accuse, as you put Chip in. I'm not going to accuse UK of stealing.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to do. I don't have a right to do it, and that person who sent it is entitled to their opinion. It just seems more secretive.
Yeah, it feels a little shady.
Well, one of the things is like how in the world, when they're supposed to get all this different money from restaurants, hotels, this, that, and all that other stuff, how in the world can they figure out when this money's going to start coming in when they're putting all this outlays out? There's so many questions. Speaking of so many questions, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we go from Linda Blackford, who's wonderful, to dear friend Chip Rupp, kind enough to join us. Chip, how are you?
I'm well, Alan. How are you?
Good. You sound like you're in a tunnel. We'll see if this works. I know you're in your car. We will try it anyway. So we were just talking about the article that's in the New York Times that features Kentucky and the LLC and what they're going to do. And I know you read it, and it's a free thing, so it can be read, although it's usually behind a paywall. And I just threw this at Linda, and this was her second favorite thing. This was the first favorite thing for me, where, quote, all the money is in one pot, so to speak, said another industry source familiar with the program, but unauthorized to speak publicly. Continuing the quote, it sounds like money laundering, but I swear it's not. I thought that was a fascinating quote about this LLC, which is controlling UK sports, that the president puts out a video where he says expenses are way too high and they must be cut down. And Mitch is getting millions for a job that nobody still knows. And Mitch doesn't like the fact that how dare anybody question him, which is absurd. It's ridiculous. It's obtuse. And I got to tell you the truth. I'm not saying he has done a lot of wonderful things, but it's absurd that an athletics director would tell people that enough, quit asking about this.
Well, I would agree with you. Mitch knows what he signed up for. When you're a public figure, you're leading a prominent university as an athletics director, you're going to take some shots, and you've got to have thick hide and be willing to take the criticism. I mean, it comes with the job. And so, calling guys knuckleheads and telling everybody to stop, be quiet. But that doesn't surprise me. I mean, Mitch does not like criticism. And so it's not anything out of the norm with regards to him.
Can I use a word and you tell me if I'm being too strong?
Sure.
I'm just going to say it. It's childish on his part. It's not like he's a rookie at this. He's been in athletics for most of his adult life. He's been an athletics director for 24 years here and even before here. And to think that he shouldn't be criticized or enough, da, 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 da. I mean, everybody answers to somebody. Me, it's Deshaun. Not really. But I would love to know if Capilouto said something to him, or does he just have his own golden parachute with the president of UK?
If Dr. Capilouto said something to him about what?
Oh, I'm sorry. Be more specific. Talking about the fact that when he tells people to basically shut up, don't question me, those kinds of things, it's disingenuous. You cannot like the question. And I was there when John Hale asked the question the first time he went off, and that John Hale is very professional and did it in a low-key tone of voice and wasn't mean or anything. In today's society, it's like, don't ask a real question. And he asked a professional question. And then with his retirement thing in the press conference, he did the same thing too. And I looked at him watching the tape of the press conference and going, how could you not control yourself? Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch keeps a very tight circle. He has a handful of people that are extremely close to him. He does not like to be challenged or questioned in any way. He's not really very public, so he keeps a low profile in his office and tries to stay off the radar. But when questioned, he's shown a history of his willingness to lash out if anybody that's not on board with what he's saying. That being said, I don't think Dr. Capilouto coaches Mitch in any way. I mean, I think they're incredibly close. Mitch is intertwined throughout the fabric of the University of Kentucky. He's involved with the Champions Blue Board. He's on the president's executive team. So they're bonded at the hip, and he's intertwined throughout the fabric.
I don't think
I think
either, by the way. Sorry for interrupting. I don't either. I was just curious what you thought.
No, I don't think he's been coached in any way. I just think that Mitch doesn't like criticism, and that's how it's being handled. As far as, Mitch and I've always had a great relationship. I've sensed that it's deteriorated just based on recent activities and encounters that I've had with him over the past year. And I don't really know what led to that, but I feel like, as we're talking about being a little bit thin-skinned and sensitive to criticism, I think it probably has to go back to my comments on your show in the past regarding lifetime contracts and concerns over our current coaches in various sports. And, I don't think that Mitch spends a great deal of time listening to these shows, but he has people on his behalf that do and report back with what they're hearing. And so without really knowing the facts, I suspect that, the deterioration or perceived deterioration in our relationship probably has to do with some of my previous comments.
So it's your belief, it's kind of been mine too, that because I'm fortunate to have you as a regular guest and some of the honest things that you have said, no filter, that has probably hurt your relationship with the outgoing athletics director at the University of Kentucky.
It's unfortunate, but whether it's real or perceived, I mean, that's what I feel. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for a couple of reasons. I mean, not anything that I've done on my own, but by birth, I'm the direct lineage to the Rupp family, and I'm the one who has to carry the torch. So for that reason, I feel like I should be treated a little better and a little friendlier. I'm a top donor, and so I'm a customer. And so if for no other reason, whether you agree with my comments or not, in a business where you're relying on money to come into your program, you have to treat the people that are taking care of you well. And I've not been treated poorly. I don't want to misrepresent it. I just feel a change in the relationship.
Your friend Brett Setzer wrote a very powerful email or letter to UK. Linda Blackford broke the story. We just had Linda on, and he's questioning a lot of things going on at UK that, obviously the president says we have money problems, we have to cut expenses, and then Mitch gets a job for millions, plus those tickets worth a fortune, and he's questioning the transparency and lack of it thereof at UK. And I wonder if Brett getting things off his chest, and he loves Kentucky like you love Kentucky. I wonder if anything will change. What do you think of what Brett wrote, and do you feel as strongly as he does?
So I think Brett's letter was very well written. I read every word of it, and I do not think that it was unfair. I think that Brett had the courage to generate that letter, and I can't begin to tell you how many texts that I've received over the past week and a half regarding this topic. It's in the hundreds of people that have reached out that are all asking the same questions, but Brett had the courage to go out on a limb and generate the letter. And unfortunately, I know that the owner of your station conducted an interview with Dr. Capilouto, who was addressing some of this, but it did not really adequately answer the questions that I'm being asked by others. And, it just doesn't feel exactly right. With us talking about NIL and needing money to buy out coaches, and people expressing concerns about if we have enough money to get the student athletes in here that we need to compete at the highest level, to create a role outside the athletic department and have it funded by athletics, it just doesn't feel right. And then really the biggest challenge that I see there is, so the way athletics normally works is you want your athletic director and your president of the university to be bonded at the hip. The president is going to want his guy running athletics. So now we have this gap here. We have Mitch, who's transitioning out of athletics into a role under Dr. Capilouto. But you have Dr. Capilouto, who I don't know what the time frame is, but a couple years or less is going to be exiting as president. So, it really generates concerns for me about what is the vision for athletics going to look like moving forward. Who's going to come in, take that job, knowing that his boss, which is the president of the university, will be exiting in 2 years, and you'll have a new boss. That creates uncertainty. The other part of it is you have the former athletics director that, whether you love or hate Mitch or what your opinion is, the entire body of work, he did a great job as a whole. But now you've got him with 3 degrees of separation looking over your shoulder. I don't know who signs up for that position. It would be the same as Kalen DeBoer in Tuscaloosa walking around the halls with Nick Saban in the office next door. And that's just an uneasy feeling. And so it creates grave concerns for me about what is going to be the new direction of UK athletics.
I don't think anybody knows till the person is hired, because that person probably will be their own man or woman, and therefore they might take it in a direction where you think it's going to go one way, but it might go somewhere else. Let me ask you this. I was really tough on Pope yesterday. I still don't believe it to this day that he picked on John Calipari and used Cal's last 4 years, comparing his first 2 years, and that he's done a better job. And that's not the standard for Kentucky basketball. That's not the standard that Kentucky fans expect. But it's a code in coaching. Plus, you have John Calipari, who angrily exited, because he did, and saved the university money, being nothing but 1,000% supportive of Pope. Coaches don't do these kinds of things. And he brought statistics with him. He was prepared. I don't know if he did the stats or somebody did it for him. He was prepared to rip Cal versus what he's done. It's an unheard of thing to do from a guy who's supposed to be one of the nicest guys in the world. I ripped him like crazy. And today I started my show by saying, I actually feel bad for Mark Pope. This is it seems like out of character. It's kind of like he's lost his way. I'm sad for Mark Pope. I really am. I still can't believe he ripped John Calipari.
No, I would agree with you on that. And to compare his first 2 years' performance to the end of the Cal era is that doesn't really do a whole lot to instill confidence in what I think of the basketball program moving forward. I mean, the facts are this, and we go back to when he was first hired a couple of years ago. I looked at his records at Utah Valley State. I looked at his records at BYU. Utah Valley State, he won at like a 59% clip. It went a little bit above 60% at BYU. And then we're looking 2 years through the program here at UK, and we're looking at about a 64% winning percentage. If you compare that with everyone else that's coached, well, not everyone else, that's untrue. Adolph Rupp and beyond. That is the bottom winning percentage of anyone that's coached here, except for the disaster period with Billy Gillespie. And he only won at about a 59% clip. Okay. But we're Kentucky. We do not need to be having years where we're finishing 6th and 7th in the SEC. The same record both years, 10-8. And, you know, not only that, and I'm not into moral victories, but there just aren't scenarios that you go to Vanderbilt and get drilled by 25. You lose to Gonzaga on the road in Nashville by 35. You're up by 8 or 10 points against an Iowa State team that's missing their top player and a second-team All-American, and you end up not only losing the game, but getting blown out. That's just not who we are. And so, you know, Mark, I think, is a nice person. I think, you know, the way that he prepared those comments, he's lashing out because he's feeling the pressure and his back's against the wall. And it should be based on the first 2 years.
But Chip Rupp, I believe he's kind of lost his way. This is the guy, Mr. Positive, that's too positive about everything. And he ripped John Calipari. I mean, who does this? I was trying to think of another coach who did it. And plus, with these circumstances, I'm going to tell you, I feel sorry for Mark Pope. Now, he can rebound from this, and he can end up recruiting a bunch of kids that are great and be special next year, because I do think that's possible. I want to see it like everybody else. But who is advising him, Chip Rupp?
I don't have that answer. But what I would ask you is, he can fix it. He is our coach. So when he was hired, I received a ton of messages from people saying, "What are we doing?" And then Rick Pitino puts out a video that says you should feel great. UK basketball is in great hands, and we all felt great. And then we won a press conference. We were fantastic in a press conference. And then everything changed. And then he brought in this infectious enthusiasm, assembled a roster late in the portal period. And he had guys from mid-major teams that their dream was to wear Kentucky on their jersey. They came in, and the combination of his enthusiasm and them wanting to prove that they belong on that stage, they had a pretty good year. The end result wasn't a whole lot different than this year as far as the record, but they had some big top 20 wins, and it gave you reason for optimism. Now you turn the clock forward, and I just I see more of the same. I think the stage has gotten bigger. I think the stage has gotten brighter. I think he had a chance to put his thumbprint on this year's team. And, you know, going back to previous conversations we had, In early practices, I saw a team that was Final Four good. Now, we did have some injuries that they contributed, but I think you have to look at the season as a whole as a failure. And you say, can he fix it? He can fix it. He needs to use this opportunity with Josh Hart making a move. He may need to make a couple other moves on his staff. His staff did not help him. He needs to shake it up. As far as recruiting, I know he's going to go to the portal. He's going to get some pieces, and he's going to do the best he can. As far as high school kids, what are we waiting on, Alan? I mean, why are we not recruiting now? What is going to flip the switch that all of a sudden we're going to start getting high school talent? Why do we not have anybody signed right now?
Wish I had the answer. Wish I had the answer. I don't. Chip, as always, go ahead.
No, I'll let you go. Stay on time.
Okay. I'm not on time, which is on time for me. Chip, appreciate you, brother. This has been crazy, all the things going on. I just wish they were more transparent. So does everybody. To say, okay, you know what? I could see why this would work. It's like we're supposed to have blind faith for people running university, and it's a public institution.
My parting comment is this. The Champions Blue Initiative, the article that you referenced. I work in medical device sales, so I'm very familiar with UK healthcare. UK healthcare is a beacon. They run an incredible organization. They have a great vision. They've made strategic acquisitions of King's Daughter, St. Clair Medical Center. They've built out, they know what they're doing. And so even though Eric Monday, Rob Edwards, the guys referenced in that article, aren't in athletics, it's not so much about athletics right now as it's running a business. And it has worked very well on the UK healthcare side. And I really am cautiously optimistic that the whole JMI partnership, the Champions Blue initiative, what was referenced in that article is going to be wildly successful. And I like it. It's thinking outside the box. And this is an arms race. And whatever mechanisms and levers we can pull to continue to stack our coffers with more cash is going to equate into us being more successful as an athletics program moving forward.
Since you know healthcare and you know what's going on there, that's the most optimistic thing that I've heard. It is running a business.
They have crushed it on that side. And, as we've called out Dr. Capilouto and concerns about, Mitch being aligned with him and his ability at the end of his career to hire an athletic director, he also deserves credit for his vision on that side of the business. And UK healthcare has been very, very successful.
Great. That's really great knowledge. Chip Rupp, thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Have a great weekend. And I'm sorry if doing the show causes more text messages for you.
That's what I need is a few more text messages. Talk to you soon.
Have a good day. Chip Rupp. Sean, you could feel the sarcasm there, couldn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
He's great and very lucky and blessed that he wants to do our show all the time. And I've been lucky and blessed to find Terry Page. Terry Page. Not a very good, a great licensed massage therapist. She's a healer. Her understanding of the body and how it works and how she's helped me with my million different injuries and soreness and stuff like that, from my knee to this, to that, the other. It's off the charts. 820 Porter Place, off for Sales Road, Suite 3. You go down Porter Place at the end of the block. It's on the side. The door is there. Please use my name. Text her or call her. She's in Lexington Thursday and Friday. Terry Page, 859-373-0578. David Sisk, he's covered Kentucky, he covers North Carolina. Going to be an interesting conversation. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
The Alan Cutler Show on ESPN 92.5 and 1300 AM and on the ESPN Lexington app. Presented by Republic Bank.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
It's March, and that means it's a perfect time to start betting with Circa Sports Kentucky. As you're looking to bet through the mayhem, Circa Sports is sports betting the way it should be. High betting limits, player-friendly pricing, plus a new enhanced in-game system so you can place the bets you want from tip to buzzer. Don't forget you can visit Kentucky's largest sports book, Circus Sports at the Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs. Download the Circus Sports app or visit circusports.com today.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Driving should feel personal, protected, centered, completely at ease the moment you pull onto the road. That's the Volvo difference. Thoughtful design, quiet confidence, and safety always working in the background so you can simply breathe and drive. We love our VC60. Plus, the luxury of Volvo is often more within reach than expected. That's why Volvo deserves your first look. At Quattro Volvo, Brentley and Mark, friends of mine, they have built a dealership that's calm, respectful, and genuinely helpful. Right now, get 0.99%. That's 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. See dealer for details. Visit QuattroVolvo.com today.
Hey, I'm Dale Wise. I've just recently retired. I know that the electronics, if you don't keep up with it, it can get away from you and get real confusing. Republic Bank's app, I use their app, and it is so easy to use. I log in with my fingerprint, so it's super easy. I don't have to remember 50 million different passwords and all that stuff. And it lays it out just real nice.
That's Dale's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC. Data rates may apply.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1392.5. WLXG Lexington. An LM Communications broadcasting station.
I feel the same. I've always thought you're absolutely the best and always enjoyed being around you. And
listen to Alan Cutler, folks. It's a pleasure for me, an honor to be on here with such a legend.
Everything you said was absolutely 100% correct.
Man, is this the great Alan Cutler? Is this the infamous Alan Cutler?
Of all the broadcast television people that I've encountered, you are among the absolute elite.
Cut to the chase has a 5-length lead past the 16th pole. Cut to the chase. Victor Espinoza to win it.
Continue doing what you're doing. You're really good at it.
I talk on many radio shows, and you are the best.
Be nice, America. Let's have a great day.
I love the game, and I love winning.
Hello, Mark. Mr. Pope, 1996.
Oh, my gosh.
What?
Hey, let's give it up right here. This is my guy. Yes. I'm so happy to see you.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
If you ever want to question my recruiting abilities, just take a look at my wife, Jordan.
I love that line. David Hodgson, the new basketball coach at Providence. I almost never start the second hour with something I played in the first hour like that, but it was funny. And he's right. And as I said, opening the show, whatever year it was, when I saw Lane Kiffin's wife, I said, he can recruit. He can recruit. Okay, I think I can hear him, but I can't see him. Coach David Sisk, are you there? Now I don't hear him.
No, now he just dropped out. Hang on just a second.
He just dropped out.
There is a mystery guest in our waiting room.
Well, he's on a different computer. That I do know. So you want to put that in?
Yeah.
Let's give that a shot. David Sisk is the perfect person to talk to about coaching jobs in specific North Carolina. And we're going to talk about Kentucky too. But when I asked him to come on, he's done the show many times. It was not about North Carolina. But since Hubert Davis has been fired, it's perfect to ask him a couple questions. Is he in now?
Let me in. Can you?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got something wrong with my camera here, but I'm on.
That's okay. You look like another pretty face like me. David Sisk, tell the world who you work for and why we should listen to you with respect.
Well, I don't know about the respect part, but you can find me at Tar Heel 247 covering North Carolina basketball.
So were you surprised when they fired Hubert Davis?
No, I wasn't. Now, it depends when you ask me. When they got beat last Thursday night, I went to bed thinking there was probably about a 10% chance by Friday afternoon. It had flipped where I felt it was about 70-30 that he would go. The boosters and individuals, movers and shakers inside the athletic program that I thought would be with him to the end of time turned pretty quickly. So I thought the handwriting was on the wall by about midday Friday.
I'm just an outsider, and I don't think he did the kind of job that North Carolina needs. But what do I know? Wilson, his star player, wasn't on the court. And because of that, I thought he deserved some grace, but I'm not an insider with Carolina. I'm just not. And had Wilson been healthy, the odds are Carolina would have won. To me, sort of similar, but not really. That sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. When Harbaugh has been there about 18 years, whatever it was, with the Ravens, a kid field goal kicker misses a kick, makes the kick, and they advance in the playoffs, and he's probably not fired, and maybe it would have gone farther. That you'll never know. And you fire him, like over one kick from a freaking field goal kicker. And so I don't know. I would have given him another year. I don't know the inside part of it. I was really surprised, but I do know how money people are, and oftentimes this is not the North Carolina way, or it's not good enough for Kentucky, that kind of stuff. That's why it surprised me. Had Wilson been healthy and they lost again in the first round for 2 years in a row, I get it. I would have fired him too. But maybe as an outsider, I know nothing.
You're still supposed to beat VCU without him. And it was more of a long-term situation, Alan, where you take Seth Trimble, who's a senior. He had been past the first weekend one time in 4 years. And that really kind of felt this year like it was a make or break that he had to get into the second weekend no matter what. And there's no doubt. My boss told me, he said, if you didn't like Hubert, the anti-Hubert people could say everything that went right for North Carolina went wrong for Hubert. And I said, that sounds like a country song. Y'all take that one to Nashville. But he didn't get through that first weekend. So it's the third time in 4 years. And the other thing was, I don't know if you saw the press conference after the game, but it was as bad as it gets. So one reporter asked him, what was the problem tonight? And he said, what do you mean problem? What problem? Well, you just got beat by VCU. And then there were 2 or 3 more questions on there, and he just looked, it was a bad look. And as I've heard somebody say, if the game didn't do him in, the press conference did. He just looked like he was totally asleep at the wheel.
Okay. I have a feeling, and this is not somebody from Kentucky saying I don't like North Carolina. David, you know me better than that. I have a feeling that it's not going to be as easy for North Carolina to hire a coach as it was not easy for Kentucky, because with all the money out there are a lot of coaches who might be happy where they are. And if this were 30 years ago, not that Carolina ever went outside the Carolina way, but if the 30 years ago, some coaches who might have accepted it might not now. I think that's true in Kentucky. Jay Wright and a lot of others didn't want to be the coach here at Kentucky. And I think there's a lot of coaches like that with Carolina. I don't think it's as easy to hire somebody in a blue bug program, and then there's some might crawl to get to North Carolina. I just don't think the pool is as large as a lot of people think. I don't think it was as large as here as people think, and I don't think it's any different in North Carolina.
Well, I think these searches take a turn sometimes, Alan, like you don't expect. I mean, you look at some of the blue bloods. Go back to 2 years ago. When Calipari took the job at Arkansas, I mean, nobody really thought Mark Pope would be the coach. You had all these other names, like you said, and even like you take Alabama football, for example. I know they got a high-level guy, probably the second or third guy they were looking at, but they didn't get the first one, who was the coach at Oregon. And UCLA, nobody thought Mick Cronin. I mean, people were just like, Mick Cronin at UCLA, are you kidding? So a lot of these searches, like you say, don't go a lot of times the way that you think. So, I mean, it's definitely, there's an opportunity there that when North Carolina hires a coach, it may not be the guy or the name that you're looking for.
I have said this since the 1980s. and I said it on TV a number of times. Rarely, and this goes back to then, rarely does your number one choice ever get the job.
Yeah. I mean, and you go back, you can go back to other jobs. I know this. Every time for the last few years of covering Kentucky and living in Tennessee, every time there was a rumor that the coach wasn't going to make it, whether it was Kentucky basketball or Tennessee football, it was going to be Billy Donovan at Kentucky in basketball, and it was going to be John Gruden in football at Tennessee. You know, I've heard that thing 10 times. He's buying real estate. His wife's up at Douglas Lake looking for real estate. So I've heard all that forever. So, I mean, you're exactly right.
You're making me laugh. You know what you made me think of? And I fell victim of this because you had to check it out. But in the 80s, the rumor was, and we weren't the only ones, and I wasn't the only ones getting calls. This is not, guess what Alan Cutler found out? Lots of people in the media got calls. Al McGuire is buying real estate right now in Lexington because he's going to take over for Joe B. Hall. And that seriously.
And did you ever get the ones, Alan, when it was people that you knew and trusted, and they would say, look, this is not, I don't want to pass on rumors, but my wife's first cousin's a real estate, and she's with him right now, showing him houses, you know.
Gosh.
How many times did you get those?
More than once. And and the person wasn't trying to con me. They were well-meaning and trying to help. I mean, it's crazy.
I already got a call Friday that said that, was it Friday? It was over the weekend. Yeah, I guess it was Friday. While Hubert still had the job, that the entire North Carolina brass was in Tuscaloosa talking to Nate Oates, and which wasn't the case. The AD was at the golf team's event in Florida, and the other incoming AD was in Chapel Hill, so there was nothing to this. You get those all the time, you know. The plane watches will start. They'll be tracking airports here.
Okay, here's the deal. You know this. I know this. There are stories, and Lynn Martin just sent me one. Thank you, Lynn. And I've seen some others, and we're going to go through this one. 9 candidates ESPN is saying who could potentially replace him. Brad Stevens he's number 2 on this list. Has already said he's not interested in the job.
Yeah.
What reporters do, and I'm not ripping him because their boss says you better come up with an article really quick. And give me some bunch of big names, and 99% of the time they have no freaking clue.
Yeah.
So they got Billy Donovan 1, Brad Stevens 2, Tommy Lloyd 3, Dusty Nate 4, Otzelberger 5. All names I've been talking about. Golden 6. McCaslin, who, by the way, is really, really good, the Texas Tech coach. Then Dan Hurley. I'm laughing at that. I mean, if I've missed somebody on the name, I mean, it's Dan Hurley is not leaving UConn to go to North Carolina unless he hates his athletics director and wants to leave. He's not doing it. He's just not doing it. But I understand you got to have an article. What I found really interesting are some of the buyouts for some of these coaches, and I talked about it in my monologue, and I wonder if you found this interesting because I did. What really surprised me was how the buyouts are so different. Todd Golden has $16 million buyout. Tommy Lloyd, $11 million. Nate Oates, $10 million on April 1st. It's a contractual thing as it goes down on April 1st. That's pretty common. Dusty May, 7.5. Otzelberger, 4. The Otzelberger, I was surprised was only 4. Let me run this down. You agree, disagree? Tell me who you like. I don't see Golden. I don't see North Carolina paying $16 million to get Golden unless all of a sudden North Carolina, which has been cheap on coaches, changes. Tommy Lloyd, he's at Arizona. He doesn't need the fishbowl of North Carolina. He gets great talent. He can win the national championship there. Why would he want it? He was an assistant for 20-something years before taking a job. I don't know the man, but I've seen enough stuff that he's not a fishbowl kind of guy. Nate Oates, he's crazy enough to do it. Dusty May, maybe, but the Kansas job might come over. But TJ Otzelberger, only $4 million. TJ was on my short list when Cal left, and I said it right after Cal left, and I don't think he was ever called. $4 million is not. I can't believe I'm saying $4 million is nothing. Who do you like, and what do you think about this list and the list of names that I just read?
Well, not only are you going to have coaches not listen to North Carolina, but you've got coaches on that list that I don't think North Carolina is going to pursue. From what I understand, they're not interested in Oates or Golden because of the off the court issues that they've had.
Bingo.
And yeah, and I said this with Nate Oates. I'm a Nate Oates guy. I love him. I'd hire Nate Oates if he was the one who got caught in a pound of pot. But so you've got those guys and some of the others, and you've already laid out some of the ones. The things that I'm from talking to different people, and there's been different sources from the program from inside North Carolina, not inside the program. There's nobody left there inside the program anymore. I talked to a guy earlier this morning that said he was over there, and it was all it was boxes. So you've from boosters and from people inside the University of North Carolina, and you hear different things, and there's different names being put out there. There's different messages. So I do not feel that there is a uniform list that everybody agrees on, even there. But the names that I keep hearing repeated on each side, I've been told Donovan is a candidate. Now, that doesn't mean that he would listen, but they want to talk to him. They like May at Michigan. They like Lloyd at Arizona and Otzelberger. I think those are the four that they'll kind of target. May not get any of them. But I do think May's a good fit for Michigan. I think they kind of like him. I think they're going to like the buttoned-up guys a little bit more. But that's the ones that I think that you're probably going to hear some more smoke about the next few days. Doesn't mean at all. Doesn't mean that they'll interview. Doesn't mean that they'll want the job. Heck, maybe a couple on there that they don't go after. But those are the kind of the names that I've heard across the board.
And that makes sense. And I've said this story many times. Somebody questioned me on it. Then I said who the source was, and that person shut up. C.M. Newton publicly said at a press conference, because he's friends with Mike Krzyzewski. I love this story. Said it publicly. Yeah, he asked Mike Krzyzewski if he wanted to be the coach of Kentucky before they hired Pitino. And everybody looked, and that was just CM. He says, well, it doesn't hurt to ask. You know, he and Krzyzewski, as you know, were really good friends. And so Krzyzewski was probably asked about 30 schools, whatever the heck it was. But he wasn't doing it in a way to hurt Krzyzewski because he quickly said no, and I don't think anybody Duke was upset. So you swing and miss. It's okay to swing and miss. But, you know, for example, if they didn't go back to Pitino a second time, he never would have been here. And if Pitino wasn't ticked off at the general manager, Al Bianchi, who didn't like Pitino at all, he never would have been here. So maybe there's a coach on this list who's not as happy with his administration as we know or think. And sometimes you get a coach that way. And I bet you agree with that 100%.
Oh, I agree. You've heard Oates and Golden both, especially Oates, kind of call out the administration there at Alabama because the NIL's not where they wanted to be. And, you know, they've been talking about building an arena down there forever. And I always noticed when I covered Kentucky and I'd go down there to the press conferences, he'd always say, and I might have been the only one that noticed this, but he'd always say, I appreciate the media from Kentucky coming down here and in a place where they really care about basketball. And I always thought that was an interesting statement, and I think it was probably a slight little bit in Alabama that they needed to take more interest. But after all, your basketball arena at Coleman Coliseum down there is named after a guy whose claim to fame was he did not miss an Alabama football game for 70 years.
I forgot about that. By the way, I remember when I first started going to Alabama, and when I was first told this, I was talking to the Alabama guy. I said, "That's no way." I knew he was serious. That when I first started going down there in the 80s, they had better attendance for a gymnastics meet than a basketball team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I find that a lot in the Deep South, that in a lot of these places, baseball is bigger than basketball, especially in Louisiana and Mississippi, South Carolina, and some of these schools in those states. I think you could probably maybe even say that at some of the Texas schools, that baseball is a bigger deal. It's warm weather. People are outside. They're not going to go to a gym and sit inside. That doesn't interest them. So Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, the radio networks for some of the baseball down in the deep south. When I first heard about it forever ago, I was shocked how big the radio networks were for baseball and how much money they get for the games for advertisers and stuff like that. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. Can I, David Sisk, my dear friend?
Absolutely. It
Okay.
wouldn't be a normal show if you didn't. Go ahead.
When you said a slight shot at Alabama that Oates said when he would compliment, and I did notice that too, and I have mentioned this on my show, a slight shot at Alabama that he appreciates all the Kentucky media that would travel down to cover the games. No, I thought it was a big shot.
Yeah. I knew where you were going when you started like that. Yep.
As a matter of fact, and he's got so much bells. So we see use the word bells now that the darling kid from St. John's, they call him bells because they don't want to say another word with an A in there, so they call him bells. I think most people figured that out right away. I think Oates has big bells. I do. And I don't think he gives a crap about anything. And I wonder if he's at North Carolina, if the suits at North Carolina would put up with that. I guess if you win big enough, it doesn't matter. But I wonder if he's exposed to a blue blood. I wonder if some people in North Carolina say this is not the North Carolina way. I wonder.
Yeah. Fit's the whole issue, and that's what I hear. He's not a fit. And are you allergic to winning? What's the deal? But but I hear that.
When they're that's the BS about that. Hey, tie your tie a certain way and don't say word. Let me ask you a question.
Let me ask you this too, while we're on that subject right quick. Like Todd Golden, and I hear that same thing. But I understand the off the court stuff with Todd Golden. There's some charges that have been dropped, but they're still kind of worrisome. But can you imagine the way Todd Golden likes to square off with other coaches during the game? How him coaching against Shire and Cameron Indoor at Duke, the way he just eats all the attention up. I mean, you have two coaches going nose to nose between Carolina and Duke. I think that'd be fascinating. It's not going to happen, but it'd be fascinating.
Oh, if he gets the job in North Carolina, he will take on Shire. So the other day he was right. I could not believe that the opposing player who threw a punch at his player wasn't thrown out. That, to me, was the most egregious thing I've seen in the NCAA tournament as far as a call, and he went nuts. But here's the problem. He used a lot of words that started with the letter F.
Yeah.
And you could hear that. Okay. And he was, I think, 100% right, but he shouldn't do that. He shouldn't do that. And I think if he goes to Carolina, he ain't changing. And I think there's some Carolina people. Let's say he goes to Carolina the first year, he's 18-13. And then the next year he wins big. He goes 18-13 with the way he acts on the sidelines. The Carolina people are going to go crazy.
Yeah, I can agree with that. You've not said anything that I disagree with at all. And like I said, I think with him though, some of the stuff off the court, but I know just that I still keep up with Kentucky very closely. All the social media, all that, and I know that the Kentucky fans and Kentucky people, they've been quite upset with him this year. They felt like there was a game where he was intentionally trying to bait Pope. And, the things he said to some of the Kentucky fans when he left the floor and, to mouth him back and forth. You saw it he got into it with Calipari. Somebody had said to me, did you see him and the coach at Iowa? And I said, that's nothing new. That's called a Wednesday night and a Saturday afternoon in the SEC for Todd Golden.
Yep, it is. And he keeps on taking shots at Kentucky for the $22 million budget. But I think it all stems back to Aberdeen. Aberdeen asked, so I'm told, pretty good source, I can't swear by this with the numbers. He asked for $2 million. They said no. Kentucky said yes. And I think he was ticked that his player went to Kentucky. I got to ask you one more. I'm late, but I got to ask you this. So Carolina's never known for spending a lot of money on their coach. And you need X number of dollars for NIL. I can tell you telling me that North Carolina all of a sudden is going to have a budget between $10 and $20 million for NIL, and they're going to open up the conference? Because I got to tell you this, in my humble opinion, if North Carolina doesn't start spending more money for players, they ain't going to be North Carolina. And by the way, that's true of Kentucky and any other damn blue blood you want.
The new AD, Newmark, there's going to be a new sheriff in town. And his words behind the scenes have been that it's going to be done a different way. The traditional way is dead. It doesn't work in today's day and age. And he has said, we're going to do it like Arkansas. We're going to do it like some of these other places. We're not going to get outspent on anything. And they understand that it takes money. And I think the first step to prove that is going outside the Carolina family to hire a coach. But he swears up and down the way they've done business for the past 50 years is history. It's not going to happen any longer.
My friend David Sisk, former coach covering basketball all over the place. Give yourself a great plug again from Twitter, whatever, because, folks, I'm telling you, if you're on Twitter, his insight is wonderful. Go, David.
And I did everybody who watches your show on YouTube a favor by not being able to get the camera on, so that'll help ratings. So it's Coach David Sisk at Twitter, and you can find me on the 247 site covering North Carolina.
Thank you, Pally. I appreciate you. We'll talk soon, I hope. And you're going to be really, really having a lot of fun with Ruben.
You know what I dread? More than anything, it's not this, it's the portal. I hate the portal bad enough anyway, but you're talking about cleaning house. None of the players come back except maybe one or two at the most. And then, it's awful. So I dread the portal.
I don't blame you, but I don't have to do it. I can react.
God bless you, Alan.
If something falls my way, that's great. I am not going to chase it. And it's not going. I don't have to. I did.
If you don't have to do the portal, Alan, and they give you a buyout, don't take it, man. Sign a lifetime contract.
Thank you, David. God bless you.
See you, buddy.
Have a great day. Oh, he's amazing. I'm not going to get into it too long, but I'll never forget the time he was on the show and talked about the conspiracy of the killing of JFK and how he knew some things about it because of somebody he knew. It was an unbelievable show. Got it firsthand from the person who he knew. He's a very interesting man. Sean, I don't know if you noticed, and we got to go to a break, but I didn't ask him today. I haven't talked to him about it in a long time. Do you know he and his wife live on separate floors? And they have separate washing machines, too. And he says he's happily married.
Probably why.
Well, to each his own. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So the one time we did it on the show, Sean, my side was hurting from laughing. And I said, maybe he should be a marriage counselor. There's only one floor where we live, so if Judy and I have to go on separate floors, guess who's out?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we both know that.
Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914, 859-533-0914. Acupuncture, now also providing a licensed massage therapist. I saw Ramon yesterday, not too far from the radio station on Versailles Road. I'm basically meditating. It took me a long time to be able to do this. Meditate. When David just sent me something. Everybody loves Raymond was written about my home life. Gosh, you're unbelievable, David. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914. Acupuncture. I was with Ramon yesterday, and it's amazing what he's done with the needles and acupuncture to help me out. I had to get used to it, and it's been a blessing. And Ramon is one of the smartest men I have ever met. He's a healer, just like Terry is. It's crazy how smart he is. Use my name, please. Call, get an appointment. It is worth every penny. 859-533-0914. Van Hiles coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
The Alan Cutler Show on ESPN 92.5 and 1300 AM and on the ESPN Lexington app. Presented by Republic Bank.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment. Hit the text line, 859-381-1313, 859-381-1313.
Hi, this is Patrick DiGiacomo, and this is why I would recommend Republic Bank. So, when the bank manager brought me over just to show me how their ITM works, he hit this button where an actual live person came on the screen, and she was so kind and helpful, and it just made me feel like, wow, I'm not dealing with just the machine, I'm dealing with somebody that's actually paying attention to what I'm doing, and it made me feel really good.
And that's how Republic Bank helps their customers go from living to thriving. Learn more at republicbank.com. Member FDIC.
It's March, and that means it's a perfect time to start betting with Circa Sports Kentucky. As you're looking to bet through the mayhem, Circa Sports is sports betting the way it should be. High betting limits, player-friendly pricing, plus a new enhanced in-game system so you can place the bets you want from tip to buzzer. Don't forget you can visit Kentucky's largest sports book, Circus Sports at the Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs. Download the Circus Sports app or visit circusports.com today.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Driving should feel personal, protected, centered, completely at ease the moment you pull onto the road. That's the Volvo difference. Thoughtful design, quiet confidence, and safety always working in the background so you can simply breathe and drive. We love our VC60. Plus, the luxury of Volvo is often more within reach than expected. That's why Volvo deserves your first look. At Quattro Volvo, Brentley and Mark, friends of mine, they have built a dealership that's calm, respectful, and genuinely helpful. Right now, get 0.99%. That's 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. See dealer for details. Visit QuattroVolvo.com today.
At Mashney Law, we don't represent crimes, we represent people. Hi, I'm Abe Mashney. From minor misdemeanors to major felonies, every client receives our full attention, unwavering compassion, and around-the-clock support. Call 859-484-8775 or visit kycriminaldefense.com. Mashney Law, defending the innocent, seeking mercy, and fighting for justice.
Listen to the Alan Cutler Show weekdays noon to 2 on ESPN 92.5 and 1300 AM and on the ESPN Lexington app. Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. We go from Linda Blackford, who was wonderful, and her take of what's going on in Kentucky, to Chip Rupp, to David Sisk, to the. Are you coloring out some of the gray in your beard, Van House? It doesn't look as white as it usually does.
That's just the background. I've hidden it with the background. These old school white Kentucky pants. Yeah, it's just been hidden a little bit. No, I would not do that ever.
That's pretty slick. Van House, former Studley DB for Kentucky, who turns down LSU to come to Kentucky, had a heck of a career and had a cup of coffee with the Chicago Bears. Is there anything I said that's wrong?
Turn down LSU was the easiest thing I ever did in my life, but yeah.
Because?
Oh, because I didn't like. Well, whoa, boy, you just taking us on. So here's the real deal, Mr. Cutler. Never liked LSU. Do you remember Tommy Hodgson? Quarterback for LSU?
Yeah.
So there was a kid from Thibodeau. I can't remember Valentine's last name of Valentine. Black kid, big kid. And my dad didn't feel like, which is kind of weird, Coach Arthur didn't give him a fair shake. That was like 83, maybe 84, 83. Ever since then, I have not liked LSU. Then, when I was getting recruited, Curly Hallman came to my high school and said that I was small. I was about 5'9", 155 pounds. Coach Hallman said I wasn't big enough to play quarterback. I wasn't fast enough to play receiver or defensive back for him. So then I was offensive MVP at the All-Star game, but then all of a sudden Curly Hallman comes up to me and say, "Hey, we would like for you to come on a visit." I'm like, "No."
Hold it. You said no to a visit from a coach?
I said it's too little, too late.
Wow. You might have got some extra cash in your pocket if you went, no?
No, I was not going to LSU.
You didn't touch the extra cash in your pocket, I know.
No. I possibly could have, but I did not, no. And here's the funny part. When Tommy Hodgson completed a ball to, I can't remember the fullback, in the register earthquake in Baton Rouge, I live 5 miles from LSU, 4 point something. I actually felt it. That's how close I was to Death Valley.
Wow. By the way, I had no idea we were going this direction.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, you were surprised? You think I wasn't surprised? Come on, you've been doing this with me way too long. I miss you in some of our outrageous conversations.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a basketball thing. And by the way, Van follows the women.
Oh, yes.
Plus, he follows the men,
yes,
even though he's a football guy. So I want to throw that out there. Somebody who hasn't heard Van in a long while, or I'm getting new listeners all the time. Van does a show. Yeah, Van's been blessed that Van does a show a ton. There's a coaching code, which I know you know. Coaches don't rip other coaches. It has to take something outrageous for somebody to rip another coach.
Right.
Mark Pope, as you know, I'm looking for a word to describe how positive lily-ish he is. I mean, he's one of the most positive people in the world. He's so positive about so many things at times, I think it actually hurts his credibility. But there's a lot of very, very good stuff with him doing that. He shows up to his coach's show, I don't know if you know this or not, with information and statistics about how his first 2 years were better than Cal's last 4 years. Why would you rip John Calipari, who has been nothing but 1,000% supportive? And Pope has said he's been supportive, not just in the media, privately. Why would you do that? And so I yesterday in my monologue talked about how it was a dumb thing for him to do. We all do dumb things. I do dumb things. But then I started thinking about it. And today I said, yeah, it's still one of the dumbest things I can imagine a coach doing. You just ruined the relationship. You did. You just ruined the relationship with John Calipari. But I actually today opened the show talking about how I feel sorry for him because this is so out of character. Look, who you are is who you are and what you do. We all do things that are a little out of character, but that's still part of you. So he does this, and I actually feel bad for Mark Pope that he's kind of lost his way. He's done nothing like this. He is so positive. He's almost like the Lou Holtz of college basketball. Not quite, but he's that positive. You understand the coach's code, right? That you don't do this kind of thing, correct? And you're giving me a funny look like you're trying to look it up really fast about, aren't you shocked he would do something like that?
Yeah, well, there's twofold because I need context. He said his first 2 years to Calipari's first 2 years or Calipari's last 2 years?
Pope's first 2 years versus Calipari's last 4 years.
Okay, got you.
But that's not the standard of Kentucky basketball.
So
you're comparing something that sucked.
Wow.
So you took on John Calipari.
Yeah, that. Well, I will say this. I don't think John is going to come unless he says some other things. I don't think he ripped John. I just think he's trying, bad way, trying to temper the loud voices of BBN, which I don't think he understands that. He should understand that you can't do that no matter what you say. John Calipari left him a better situation than what John Calipari entered. So I don't know why would you compare it? Was it a question? Did Mr. Leach lead him to this?
Well, there's no doubt. Look, Tom is smart. Tom's a good company man, and I think there were some questions to ask. You want to go back and listen to the whole thing that they must have talked about ahead of time because Tom is not there to grill any coach on the coach's show. But the fact that Mark Pope came prepared with statistics and numbers, and this was not a thing. I was just curious of your opinion that's one of the nicest guys in the history of coaching is, you say it's out of character, but then I would say I think it's in character when you're losing your cool.
Yeah, and here's the thing about it. This is, sometimes with coaches, the ones who are really ultra nice and positive sometimes are not as much as that, be behind closed doors. I'm not saying he's not, but it might not be. No, that's not it. He's just analytical. He's an analytical coach, and he came with his storyline of how I'm going to try to make this season look better than what it was, which they underachieved. If you want to say it because of injuries, I understand that. But at the end of the day, your record is your record. And it wasn't what I think we thought when we beat Purdue exhibition game. I heard a lot of people saying, here's number 9. So to go from that to go to a second round, to go from that to have fans so appreciative of winning the first round game says a lot about this season.
Yeah, it does. Okay, I just asked permission to use this person's tweet. instead of doing it anonymously. And if the person said I can't use it, I don't. It's a pretty simple deal with me. You don't ruin a friendship by taking somebody off. I've said that many, many times. So Steve Moss, we call him Mossy, sports photographer at Channel 27 across town for about 1,000 years. Back before when we both had white hair. That's how long he's been doing it. Mossy's probably yelling at me right now, but he didn't have white hair, neither did I when he started. So he said that Pope came off sounding like he was running for re-election yesterday on his coach's show on Monday. That's a really Mossy.
Yeah. I can see that with that statement. It's just interesting that I want to know how it got to that point and what led to him talking about his record being better than Cal's last 4 when people were upset with Cal the last 4. Why would you? It wasn't like you won 30 games.
Yeah, I've said this on the air. I wonder who he's listening to and what made him do that. It was an awful thing. I just was curious your opinion. Let's move on to something else. Stein. You're in love with him. You like with him. You like the positivity. You're going to do a wait and see. Practices are apparently much more fast paced.
Yeah.
That I like is as good of a job as Stoops did. And let's not forget all the bowl games Stoops took this team to. The last few years it went to the blank, but give him a ton of credit for what he built here, the big blue wall and all that kind of stuff. I think you're going to see a guy who's a better recruiter. I do. I think you're going to see over the next 5 years that Stein, I've called him Smith before. What is wrong with me? Stein and his staff will be much better recruiters. I'm not knocking the last staff. I'm really not. But I think he's going to be better. That's the feeling I have. You bring an offensive lineman like he did, you're bringing an NFL offensive lineman to play offensive line for 1 year at Kentucky. That's pretty powerful, and not just in that position. It looks like the wide receivers, I don't know how good they're going to be. You can answer that better than me. But he brought in guys that are quick, that got the quick twitch kind of thing. They're athletic. They can move. Now, whether that'll transform in the field, we'll see. But at least they have those physical attributes that you want from a wide receiver and in other positions as well. So, I'm still doing a wait and see. But for what Stein has done, Van Hiles, former Studley DB for the University of Kentucky, who turned down LSU, wouldn't even go for a visit there, which I learned today, which is all good. So far, I'm really impressed, and I'm trying to stay conservative because I haven't played a game yet.
That's interesting. What hit me when you said that. I'm gonna wait and see. I'm gonna wait and see till the first 4 games. But here's what's interesting. You said he's gonna be a better recruiter, which is interesting because a lot of people lean towards offense. We have done a pretty good job of recruiting defense during the Stoops era. Not a very good job of recruiting offense. His style, his success at UTSA and Oregon is going to give him a little bit more cachet to go after certain kind of kids offensively. So I think offensively, we will be able to get some guys because he's going to run a fun offense. As you said in practice, it's fast paced. All this fast pace, Mr. Cutler, is for the offense. It's not for the defense. This is the offense that they're going to run. Everything even when you do preseason predictions, is based off of what is the offense return as far as production. It's fun offensively. I like it. I'm not sure about the quarterback yet, but they love him, so I'm going to love him. I'm not sure about the running backs yet. He had a great season at Oklahoma. The receiver had a good season at Oklahoma's freshman year, not so good at LSU. My thing is, can we stop somebody? When we had a great offense called the air raid with some Mike Leach and Hal Mummy and all those great coaches and all those great players, Curry players they had, know what they couldn't do? Stop my 4-year-old nephew's flag football team.
Because you had Mike Majors as your defense.
Hey. So let's see. Can he recruit? The guy can recruit. I've heard of it when he was in Texas, high school, to UTSA, to Oregon. Yes. Can we connect both sides of the ball? You know what? We have never connected both sides of the ball until probably Coach Brooks. That was the first season we had a good offense and a good defense. Can we have a cohesive unit, a holistic team, not just one side and one side being not so good?
Holistic. Holistic.
I pulled that out. I don't know where I got that one from. That was crazy.
Holistic by anyone, a guest on a sports talk show analyzing a football team. I'm bowing, dude. That was really impressive. I want to switch really quick because I got about a minute 90 seconds left. You follow women's basketball. The fact that the Sweet 16, I think, is great. I really didn't realize that it had been since 2016 that had been the Sweet 16. Brooks has done a wonderful job. I think they underachieved during the season. I get the key was hurt. They still had a wonderful season, but I have said now they got to play against Texas, which about as tough as tough can get. But I like what he's done. Strack and Key and Tony. I mean, he's got a really, really, really good team. They're a fun team.
I must say, this is gonna be crazy. I feel better about us playing Texas than playing West Virginia in Morgantown because of the way they press. We only have one real point guard. I think this game actually aligns better for us than the last game. I know we can pull this quote unquote upset. I think we might have a better team starting 5. They just have a superstar, a bona fide superstar. But other than that, I think we match up very well with Texas.
Let me throw this at you. I want you to comment, and then I have to say goodbye on the show. Steve Mossy of Channel 27. Mossy, you're on fire today. You ready? You got to answer in about 3 sentences.
Okay.
Stein is involved with more 4 and 5 stars than Mark Pope. Facts. More. He's right. Number 1 DB in this week. Number 1 quarterback setting visit. That's unbelievable. This is UK football.
I'm a temper with this. 2 things. First, we have to get them. Second thing, there's only 12, 13 basketball players compared to 85. So in theory,
probability though.
Yeah. No, but that's awesome. But let's close on them because Stoops went in on some 4 and 5 stars too and couldn't close.
Got to close.
Let's close on these guys.
Got to close. Okay, I'm late. I got to say goodbye, but do this. No. Give a great plug for everything you do because what you and Andy do is terrific, and I owe you a plug. And I miss you, dude. And that's
Appreciate it.
I haven't asked you to come on because the guy who scheduled this show, I'm going to go scold when I get off the air. That's me.
V-Style17 on Twitter, The Locker 411, Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which means tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, tune to The Locker 411, all social media platforms. I guarantee it's going to be a good show. No FCC governing any of the content. So because of that, it's awesome.
And I'm so glad you're not using Grecian formula on your beard. Hey, it's not usual. I get the last shot in. I'm taking it now. I'm saying, get off my phone.
Appreciate it. Y'all a good one.
Van, you're great. I appreciate you.
Anytime.
Sean, I had no idea we were going to get into not refusing to take a visit to LSU. Who does that? But you know what? That shows you how principled he is, that he wasn't good enough the first time, right? And then they say, oh, you're MVP of an all-star game? Yeah, and then we now want you to come. I like that. Fan is great. He's really great. What a day. Seriously, what a day. Linda Blackford was wonderful. Chip Rupp was wonderful. David Sisk was wonderful. Van Hiles was wonderful. Podcast of the show will be up by 2:30. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you, not a little, but tremendously. Hal McCoy, opening day baseball. Every pitch you can hear on 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. Hal McCoy, the Hall of Famer, will be there. He'll be one of my guests tomorrow. Nick Roush, Mr. Football for KSR, will be one of my guests tomorrow. Gene Abel, retired Lexington Herald leader, sports editor, always good, will also be my guest tomorrow. Sean, thank you so much. Have yourself a great day. Brad Taylor coming up next. And at 4, Brad Taylor's not next?
No, Brad is en route to Las Vegas.
Oh.
Out there to do a show from Circa.
Okay, so Brad Taylor will be back when?
Thursday.
And coming up at 4 o'clock?
Wildcat Drive, me and Matthew.
Okay. Hey, have a great day. Sean, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Driving should feel personal, protected, centered, completely at ease the moment you pull onto the road. That's the Volvo different, thoughtful design. Hey, the commercial in my ear.
Not anymore.
Wise ass. Hi, don't be talking when I'm pontificating here. Hi, this is Alan Cutler at 1300 AM and 92.5 FM. What a lineup we have for Thursday. Gene Abel, always good, retired sports editor, Lexington Herald leader. Nick Roush, Mr. Football for KSR. Hal McCoy, the Hall of Famer, at opening day for the Reds. See you at noon.
All righty.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate you.
Sir.
See ya. Yeah.
Hang on, my headsets are on. I couldn't hear a word you said.
I'm gonna run over to Jan. She needs some help with her bathroom stuff.
Okay, and my day totally changed since I've seen you. I'm leaving now to meet Doug Barnes for an hour or so, and then I'm gonna go work out after that.